Hey gang, so in a previous video I threatened to take this sprite sheet and turn it into animation, and I'm going to focus just on this first line here, this first row of Marios, and try to turn it into an animation. So let's just see what we've got. So I've linked this code in the comments for this video. There's a GitHub repo with this code in it, and it's going to have this sketch.js. It's got this index.html where you can see I'm including a script source tag to this p5 library and this sketch.js. And very often, just sort of by convention, libraries are loaded in the head, and in the body we load in the actual files to run our project. Now, you know, in this case it would probably work either way, but usually a good idea to have your sketch file in the body. And that's in case you want to do some manipulation on the stuff that's actually in the body, like for instance our canvas. And then I've got this Mario image. And so this code here is just doing what I talked about in a previous video, where I'm going to load that physical file into an image and display it on the screen. Now, in order to turn this into a series of animations, what I need to do is I need to figure out, first of all, how wide each one is, and then grab each one and store it in an array and then kind of loop over it. So I'm going to have to think about that for a sec. I think what I'll do is notice that this canvas is 1,000 by 1,000, and you know, I can actually look at my original file and see that it's 700 by 450. So that means it's going to be 700 wide. And if I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's just call that 8, 9. So like 30 over 700. I'm really good at math, so I'm going to use Google to help me figure this out. 23 and a half. So let's see, if I want to grab chunks that are 23, say 25 pixels wide, I'm going to load this image and I'm going to create an array. I'll just make it an empty array, and I think I'm going to use just a straight up for loop, just because for hard math stuff like this, it's just somehow it feels like it makes more sense to me. And let's see, what was that going to be? That was going to be 30. So we'll go 30 I plus plus, right? Because we had, I counted 28, and then there was like room for 2 off to the side, and it looks like there's a little bit of a buffer on the left hand side too, but we'll deal with that when we get to it. So for now we'll say images at I is equal to image.get img.get. So we're going to get some pixels off of this img. We're going to get, this is going to be a location on the x-axis, which is going to be this I times, I think we decided 25 might work. So that'll be the x, and then on the y it's going to be 0. Let's actually call it 10, because you notice there's that buffer on the top and there's that buffer on the left. So maybe I'll say I times 25 plus 10 maybe, and we're going to get one that's going to be 25 by, oh, let's say 50, just to see what happens. All right, and now we'll just, instead of displaying img, let's do images at 0. And we'll do 0, 0, 100, 100. And let's just see what happened. Okay, I got one. So, it looks like that is indeed the one in the top left, but I didn't go over enough on the left, so I'm going to go over a little bit more on the left. We're going to go I plus 25. And let's check that out. And now I went over a little too far. And you can see this video is going to be pretty boring because I'm just going to be doing a lot of this. So we'll see. We'll go. It looks like maybe 20. Try 20. And we'll try 15. That looks pretty good. So that's right about in the middle. It's a little bit too big, a little too tall. And that's still probably a little too tall. That's a little too small. That's pretty good. That's especially good. Now, I want to display this. You can see the size of this should be a little bit bigger. Let's make this 150. That's a little bit better. All right, so now I'm actually going to make this, what is it, 100, 150. We'll make this 200, and we'll make this 300. And now we get something that's super fuzzy, not a very high resolution. Maybe we want to go even bigger. Let's make it 400 by 600. Oops. What did I do wrong? 400 by 600. I don't know what I did. End of input. Oh. Somehow I managed to delete this last curly brace. So very important you match up those curly braces. And you can see what happens when you get like a super low resolution image and you try to make it big. But that's okay. I'm going to just go with it. I kind of like that. And now what I need to do is I need to iterate over these. And I'm kind of hopeful that this is just going to work. So let's do... I'm going to set up a counter variable up here that'll also be a global variable. I'm going to set it to 0. And now I'm going to change this to be counter. And I'm going to say counter plus plus. So each time through the loop, you can see it's iterating counter. And now I'm getting this kind of sort of vaguely working. And now eventually we get to this index out of range error, it's called. I said in class it's the most common error, that we try to get an index for an array that doesn't exist. And that's because this counter keeps going up, and eventually we get bigger than the number of images, which is going to be, I guess, 29 or 30. And so what I want to do is say const num images equals 30, and we'll say here num images, we'll see here modulo. So modulo is a really neat mathematical idea, which means give me the remainder of this thing divided by this thing. So the first time through, it's going to be 0 through 29, and then the next time through, it's going to be 0 through 29. It's going to always be 0 through 29. When it's 58, it's going to still be 29, because this is always going to be the remainder. It's a neat idea, and I could, I'm sure, articulate that better than I did there. But you can see I'm getting my animation. I'm having a little bit of trouble because dude guy is moving around a little bit. And I think I must have gotten that width a little bit off. So let's try I times 20 and see what that does. All right, so it's still moving around a little bit. And that could be a function of the way these are laid out, that there's a little more space out here, maybe that's what it's supposed to do, but that's what I want it to do, so I'm gonna see if I can fix that. I thought the first one was pretty good. Let's just do again 0 and look at our browser and we see he's right there. So now let's look at like 25 and we can see it's slid over, so we overshot just a little bit. So let's try 18 and that's not quite as bad. Let's try 15. Let's try 12 and let's try 10. 8. Okay, so that's probably a little too small. Let's just try the 10 maybe again and see what happens if I go back now to counter modulo num images. We'll see that's not exactly better. So I'm going to do now, instead of 30 images, I'm just going to try to get it to 10 and see what happens if I do 10. Huh. I think there's maybe some issues in here. This guy. Let's just do 3. And I'm going to do one thing, which is to set the frame rate down to something lower. Let's try 20. Yeah, that's actually looking better. A little bit wider. So maybe I think I might have goofed here. Let's do 25. I think I was probably right actually, around 20. Maybe we'll go like 18 and see. Well, I think you get the idea at any rate. It's not doing quite exactly what I want it to do. There may be an issue with this sprite sheet. I'm not sure that for me it's worth it to keep going with it. I'd probably just go to another one of the gazillion other sprite sheets that are downloadable of Mario from the inner tubes. And here's one right here. Those look a little more regular actually. So maybe I'll try this for the next Mario project I want to do. I don't know why, I just decided this year I'm going to do all these Mario projects. So I hope that's enough for you to get started making your own animated character for this assignment. The assignment being to make a character. And I want to see a JavaScript object, imaginary JavaScript object, and I want to see some sort of video character animation. You can also use these techniques I've just been showing you to animate still photos that you take, right? So you could just take a sequence of images, stills using your phone, and turn those into a stop motion animation. Move some stuff around on a table. You know, little kids do it. Let's do it too. Okay, have a beautiful night, y'all, and I will see